Who's this, then?
New arrival, Chief. She's been put on North Wing. New arrival, Miss Collins. You wait here.
Shoemaker? Miss Renata Shoemaker? What's the story?
Just another shoplifting tourist. First offender.
She got 6 months.
Yes, for resisting arrest and refusing to pay a fine. It's a bit tricky.
Why?
You see for yourself. Right.
Well now, Miss Shoemaker.
Schumacher.
Yes, well, this is the North Wing and I'm the Assistant Governor in charge.
Entschuldigen, bitte, ich verstehe nichts. Seit gestern habe ich kein Wort verstanden. Spricht niemand hier Deutsch?
From Germany. She can't understand a word we're saying. See, you're on your own. Now this is for water, and you can put your things in there and there.
Danke, danke.
Never-ending interference.
Would you explain that, Miss Clark?
I am sick and tired of explaining it to you and to all the other officers who try to interfere in welfare.
Perhaps you'd like to spell out what you think my officers and I are supposed to be. Turnkeys, is that what we are?
No, of course not.
Oh, no, of course not. But if the women ask us for advice...
It's not your function to give advice.
Function? If the women didn't have my...
about? Whatever it is, the centre's not the place for it. We were having a professional discussion.
It's something we have to have out, madam.
Very well, we'll settle it later in my office.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
You sit in there, eat later.
Ich möchte gerne essen, aber bitte, wo ist das Klosett?
I don't think she understands, Mrs. Spencer.
You can say that again, miss.
You stay out of this, dear.
The chaplain and welfare officer come to see you. Here. Wait in here.
Wie bitte?
The chaplain.
She thinks you're going to cut her throat, miss.
Morning, madam.
What's going on?
A new inmate. She only speaks German.
I see.
Morning, madam.
Whilst you're on your work party...
I have a visitor coming, Chief. My sister.
Well, that's nice.
It's very simple, Miss Shoemaker.
Now, you having
Schumacher.
trouble, Marion?
This is Miss Shoemaker. She doesn't understand any English.
We've been trying to tell her to wait in her room till lunchtime, madam.
Well, surely the official interpreter has explained the routine to her, her rights and regulations.
She did, Governor, but nothing much seems to have gone in.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Aber natürlich.
Ah. Well, attendez. In there. EC.
Ich soll hier bleiben, aber bitte, dürfte ich fragen, wo ist die Toilette auf diesem Stock?
You what?
I think she wants the loo, Chief.
Mrs. Weeks, would you...
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Danke, vielen Dank.
This way.
No wonder she seemed upset.
Oh, hello, Liz. Is the governor not in?
Oh, she's still on a round.
Ah, and you're waiting for her?
Oh, obviously.
Yes, quite so. Well, tell her I called, will you?
Uh-huh.
You're looking a bit peaky.
In what way?
Oh, nothing organic. In need of diversion, I'd say. Now, I recommend a sandwich and a drink in the pub at lunchtime, with a doctor in attendance.
I don't drink at lunchtime.
Oh, they do excellent coffee. It's a milder stimulant, but effective.
No, thanks. I prefer the canteen. I've work to do.
Oh. Well, don't say I never diagnosed you.
Here, was you ever in America, Georgie? No, was you? No. Do you fancy it? Oh, no, too noisy. All them saxophones and police
I'm glad to see that Mrs. Weeks and old Beanie have made it up again.
Oh, yes, thick as thieves, madam.
We're getting out in a couple of weeks.
So I believe, madam.
That German woman, Schumacher. I realise we can't have the interpreter here all the time, but surely somebody can speak her language.
Well, there's generally quite a few who can speak German. At the moment, however, there's only Hannah Wise.
Yes, she's on South Wing, isn't she?
Yeah, 3 years for fraud on old age pensioners.
What could we ask her to interpret?
We could ask her, but she's the last person I'd like to be beholden to.
Translate?
The things she needs to know, and talk to her generally. Can you do that?
I could.
Miss Parrish has given her consent.
Oh, has she now? Well, I mean, what's in it for me?
The satisfaction of knowing that you're helping someone if you do, and my extreme displeasure if you don't. And I warn you, if you try to wring any personal advantage out of it, I shall jump on you from a very great height.
Miss Schumacher?
Guten Tag. Ich muss mich wohl vorstellen. Mein Name ist Hannah Wise.
Renate Schumacher. Sind Sie Aufseher?
She thinks I'm one of your lot. Nee, ich bin Gefangene wie du.
Come in. The governor asked me to see you both. Come in, Mrs. Armitage. Now, whatever differences you may have, you should both know better than to trot them out in front of the women.
We were just a little carried away.
Well, let's leave that side of it, shall we? What was it about?
The welfare people always accuse the uniformed staff of indifference, of being too hard on the women. But if any of my staff get on any kind of terms with the women and try to help them, these same welfare people accuse us of interfering.
It's a question of training. There are some things your officers are not qualified to advise on.
And who is to draw the dividing line? Look, a woman is in here for years. We keep trying to get through to her. All of a sudden, she has to confide in someone. There's an officer she trusts. Well, what are we supposed to say? Shut up, keep it for the welfare.
No, I've never said that, but it should be passed on.
We always do, and nothing gets done.
You're talking about Beanie Dixon.
You know damn well I am. Look, how can young girls understand the fears of a woman of 60 or more, the thought of what's facing her outside?
I accept they may find it easier to talk to an older woman, but for the constant offender, getting out presents special problems. It doesn't help to give them false hopes.
But if we can give them hope, at least that's something.
All right, all right. I'll let you go on to see if for once you said something different. But no, it's the same old hobby horses. God, no wonder the governor asked me to deal with this. She must be sick to death of it.
I beg your pardon.
And well, you might. Anyone listening to you can tell there's really no argument. You both have the same objective, except you're travelling on different roads.
The welfare people seem to think they're superior in some way.
Well, they're not. But that doesn't mean that the uniformed staff have all the answers either.
I mean, in the case of Beanie
Look, I
Dixon,
don't want to hear specific cases. I'm aware that your department is under great strain and overworked.
Yeah.
That means that the uniformed staff must cooperate with you.
That is my whole point.
You're in a unique position to help each other. You're both sensible women. It's tragic that there's this gap between you. You should be finding ways to narrow it or bridge it instead of letting it get wider.
Trust a man.
I'd say yes to that. Sounds pretty sensible.
That's right, take her side.
Molly, why do you always think people have to take sides? There's a practical approach.
I agree with Dad.
Oh, do you?
Well, from what I've seen...
If we are going to get the benefit of 2 whole weeks' experience as a welfare trainee...
Don't forget it.
You look quite pretty when you're trying to be ugly. And you'd know cold to snap Ellen's head off. Of course you're choked. She chose the welfare side of the service, but you ought to be proud. She wanted to be part of it, like you. I know I am.
I shouldn't have spoken like that. I'm sorry, Ellen.
That's all right, Mother.
I just didn't want you to get the wrong idea from the start, that's all.
Like what?
Well, dedication, ideals. They're all very well, but you mustn't expect miracles.
They said that was the typical prison officer's attitude.
Oh, did they?
It's all right, it's not a criticism. But the officer has too much to do. Too many women to look after to be able to see them as individuals.
That lot you know. Could tell you a thing or two.
Well, I wish you would. I want to learn everything I can from all sides, but you never talk about it.
Well, it's hard to put into words. Look, they tell you that it's the welfare officer who understands the women. She sees them alone, in their cells.
Without the barrier of a uniform. Yeah. Like Miss Clark. It's the only way to see them as human beings.
Yeah, well, now, take the prison officer. She gets the women up, washed and fed. She takes them to work, to exercise. Maybe reads their letters for them. She discusses their hobbies and their families. And if they trust her, they ask her advice and tell her their problems. Not just once a week or a fortnight, but every day for 8, 10, maybe 12 hours. Now then, who's in a better position to understand the women? The ones that need help, the ones that can be helped. We're only allowed to make recommendations. It's very hard sometimes.
Yes.
Oh, well. Maybe you'll see how it works for yourself one of these days.
I want to.
I never thought there'd be so much bookwork in becoming a probation officer. Law, even.
What did you expect?
Something a bit more practical, like visits to courts and prisons. This afternoon we had the most boring lecture ever from a pompous old twit of a magistrate.
Who was it?
Selby Marcus, OBE.
I agree, a pompous old twit. More coffee, Dan?
Yeah, please.
Paul?
Oh, no thanks, Mum. I'd better go upstairs and try to catch up. Do you mind?
No, of course not.
Right. Night, then.
Night, darling.
Thanks, darling. He seems to be getting down to it seriously.
Yes, I'm glad. One time I thought he was just going to drift.
You know, with your prison governor and Paul a probation officer, I ought to become a cop to complete the circle.
How is the new job? Don't talk much about your work these days.
Well, it's not so much to talk about. Suggesting how others should do the job's not so interesting as doing it yourself. You know, I'm afraid some of the younger engineers probably see me as a pompous old twit. Still, it gives me more leisure time.
You don't regret it?
What, being able to spend my evenings with you? Well, not so far.
That's good. No, I've been thinking we ought to have a party one day soon.
Party?
Not a big one, just a few drinks and things for some of the staff. I think it would be helpful for Paul.
Yes, fine.
Mensch, mach doch nicht so ein langes Gesicht. Ist doch alles halb so schlimm. Ist dir noch nicht aufgefallen, dass die alle bekloppt sind?
Nothing to do but sit around all bloody day. You have to be a bloody foreigner to get any bloody consideration in here.
Too right.
Bloody kraut.
You say it must be difficult for her not being able to talk to nobody.
No, well, never mind. Soon be out of this place. Time's nearly up. Then it's a raspberry tart to the lot of them.
Right, working parties. Sewing shop on the right, kitchen detail on the left.
Here, what about this?
Kelly.
Sewing shop, Avis.
Peters.
Come on, Avis.
No. Stevens.
What?
Why
should I bloody work? It's all a waste of time.
Collins.
If you refuse to work, I shall put you on report. You know that.
Go on then. I don't care.
I can't ask you again. Now, don't make me do it. Come on.
Why aren't you two working?
I've been...
On your feet! Now.
I've been excused work to keep Renata company. That's what I understood.
Oh, did you? No doubt that's what you told the principal officer on your wing. Where do you normally work?
Sewing shop.
Right. You'll join the detail leaving this wing and return here for lunch. Explain that to your friend and tell her that she'll be expected to work too.
Mist wie du
And keep your German for her and for no one else.
No point in starting now, Georgie. Let them all go. Then you'll only have to do it once.
Oh, right, Beanie.
Terrible twins, bright as buttons.
Yes. I'm a bit worried about old Beanie, though.
Oh? She seems pretty fit.
Well, she's fit enough, considering all the booze she's put away. Her mind's beginning to wander.
You mean she's going mental?
Well, that's hardly a clinical phrase that I'd recognise, but yes, she's going a bit mental.
Did you ever go to America, Georgie? I don't reckon it myself.
Georgie, this is Miss Schumacher. She's going to be working with you for a few days.
Oh, you're lucky. Centre block cleaning's the cushiest job in the nick. I'm Georgie Weeks. That's Beanie.
Bloody kraut.
Renate. My name is Renate.
Oh, Renata. Oh, that's nice. Look, there's a spare mop over here. You can use that. Come. Now, you take that, Renate, And you follow along behind me like that, see? See? We can go round and round all day. Nobody'll bother us.
Georgie, Miss Collins wants to see you in her office.
Don't you push me! Don't you push me! You bloody cow!
Miss Collins.
What's wrong?
We got to the door of the sewing shop, but she refused to go in.
Why?
I don't think she's well.
There's nothing wrong with me, I just don't feel like it.
You realise if you refuse, you'll be put on governor's report.
I don't care.
What's wrong? Very well, wait in your room.
You wanted to see me, Miss Collins?
Yes, Georgie, come in. Sit down. Your release date's getting nearer.
Yeah.
Full remission. You'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, you've been in just long enough to qualify for a pre-release outside visit. That means a trip outside to prepare you for release. So if there's anyone you'd like to visit... Is there someone?
No.
Or anywhere special you'd like to go, within reason? There must be somewhere.
No.
Nowhere?
No one. No one at all? No. Not since my sister died. Well, you know all about that. No friends? None left. There's nobody knows me even as well as you do. It's just other people. There's myself. When I go out, I'll start drinking again. Sleeping rough, fights, dirtiness. I'll try not to. But it'll come to that, sure as eggs is eggs.
Try not to worry, Mrs. Weeks. I'll see what we can do.
Where'd you get that skirt? In a jumble sale? Here, your hair looks like a ripped out old mattress.
Aren't you going to put a stop to that?
They're enjoying themselves, madam.
What about Renata?
She doesn't seem to mind.
Your face, love. Might be good looking underneath. Here, ever seen a scarecrow? She'd make a good one, wouldn't she? Frighten the bloody crows anyway.
Marian, about Renata Schumacher, does she get a lot of that ragging from the other women?
We can't really stop them, madam. She seems to take it in good part.
I don't think that Hannah's telling her what they're saying.
I'll watch it, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Spencer.
It's time for reports, madam.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Armitage. For the last 2 days, I've noticed Renata in the centre without Hannah.
That was Mrs. Armitage's suggestion.
I thought it best to keep them apart, except for meals and association periods.
Why?
Well,
that
madam...
means that for most of the day, she's got absolutely nobody to talk to.
Yes, but Hannah is a manipulator. I thought it best not to let her get too strong a hold on Renata.
What do you think, Marian?
I don't believe there's any harm being done, Governor. It's certainly easier for Renata with Hannah to explain things to her. And they do seem pretty friendly.
But oh, I can't be bothered with her. She gets on my nerves.
I just didn't feel like it. That's not an answer I can accept, Davis. Now, what's the matter with you? This is very unlike you. Has something happened in the sewing shop? Don't you like the work?
As good as anything else.
Then what is it? I'm trying to help you, Avis, but you're making it very hard for me. Very well. I shall have to award you 1 day's loss of pay, but for heaven's sake, pull yourself together. If you have any worries, go to Miss Collins or come and see me. I don't want to find you on report again.
Thank you, madam.
Right.
Miss Carter.
Oh, yes, madam.
Do you know what's wrong with her?
No, madam.
Mrs. Spencer says that you thought that she might be unwell.
It was only a guess, madam.
I know it might sound as if I'm trying to stand up for one of my own people, but I really think something is troubling her very deeply.
Well, if you have any ideas, let me know.
Yes, madam.
Right, who's next?
Beanie Dixon. Application to see the governor. Next! The way she is, I'd be prepared for anything, madam.
Dixon, Beanie, 80... Oh.
497.
Oh, Chief. 497, madam.
Yes, well, what can I do for you, Beanie?
Well, it's me nephew, Len.
Has something happened to it?
Oh, no! Leastways, I hope not. Have you heard something?
No. No. Go on.
Oh, well, I'm getting out in a couple of weeks, see? And he promised to take me in. All right, I'll dust up there was. His wife was against it, see? All right, bloody cow she is. Sorry, madam, but you know.
What, Beanie?
Eh? Oh, yeah, well, I've been writing to him regular, and he's replied regular. Except this last month. Not a bloody dicky bird.
And you have no idea why he hasn't replied? You think that his wife may have changed his mind?
Maybe. Or maybe he's moved.
Well, surely he would have told you.
Well, not if he's just took off. He was always telling his wife he might one day. Just take off. Migrate. To America or somewhere.
Oh, I think that's most unlikely.
Well, not if she pushed him to it.
Oh, there must be some other explanation. Isn't there anywhere else he could be?
Well, the only other place is the moon.
The moon?
Yeah. He was always talking about that, too. Take his whole family off one day in one of them rockets, he said. Get out of this.
The moon's a very long way away, Beanie.
Oh, you don't think he could have gone there, do you?
Well, no, I haven't read of any launchings just recently, but
Oh.
Try not to worry, Beanie. I'll put Miss Clark onto it.
Oh, needn't have bothered coming.
We'll try and find out what's happened.
Yeah, well, thanks anyway. America was bad enough, but I ain't chasing to the bloody moon after it.
It's not fair to laugh.
No, madam.
So I had a long talk to the governor, and she decided it would be best for Renata if you two shared together. Do you agree?
Why, yes, Miss Collins.
Of course, it's partly up to Renata. Would you explain to her?
Ich bin delighted. Du, wir können eine Zelle zusammenteilen. Was sagst du?
Nein.
Was?
Nein, ich will nicht.
Doesn't she want to share?
Du blöde Ziege, verstehst du immer noch nicht?
Natürlich verstehe ich, aber ich will nicht.
Ah. Na, warte, bis ich Ihnen erzähle, was ich von dir weiß.
Was kannst du ihnen erzählen? Was weißt du?
All right, that's enough. The answer seems fairly clear.
Well, this is the centre. The wings radiate from here like the spokes on a wheel. It's a lot less barbaric now. The fronts of most of them have been filled in. And quieter.
What did it used to be like?
Oh, no idea.
Hello. Oh, what are you doing here?
Oh, I met Ellen at Beak Street Magistrates Court.
There was a group of us there as observers. Miss Clark offered to bring me back and show me round Stone Park.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry, madam. This is my daughter, Ellen.
How do you do? How nice to meet you. You're the one that's taking up welfare, aren't you?
Yes,
You
that's
haven't joined us already, have you?
Oh, not quite, Mrs. Boswell. I'm still at the lectures and tests for suitability stage.
Well, with your background, I don't suppose there'll be any problems. Come and have a talk to me sometime. Can you spare me a minute?
Yes, yes, of course.
I'm sure Mrs. Armitage won't mind taking over. Don't forget, come and have that talk.
I look forward to it, Mrs. Boswell.
I'll see you later.
Thanks, Liv. She won't get into trouble because of me, will she?
Not at all, no.
It seems strange I've never been here before.
Well, you never showed any desire to. Well, how much have you been told?
Well, Avis has been getting increasingly uncooperative lately. I've been trying to arrange a job for her when she leaves. Last time I saw her, she told me what I could do with it.
What's got into her?
I wish I knew.
Have you spoken to her family?
Yes, I tried, but it didn't help. It's a close community, suspicious of strangers.
I'll try again. Speak to Miss Carter. She may be able to help you.
Right.
The next is Beanie Dixon. She's been telling me about her nephew.
The famous Len.
Oh, he does exist.
Very much so. I became involved in a family row there between him and his wife. Well, they have 2 teenage children. She doesn't think Beanie's a very desirable influence.
I suspected it was something of the kind.
Well, Beanie can be very unreasonable. I told her she'd have to promise to stay off the bottle if they took her in. She's never forgiven me.
She tells me that he stopped answering her letters.
No, that is serious.
Why?
He's a last chance. I've tried all the The hostels, the temporary homes for her. The ones that knew her wouldn't have her, the others are full up.
I see.
Oh, well, I'll try the nephew again, but if his wife turned him against her, I don't know what we'll do. Is that all?
No, there's Mrs. Weeks, and she's the most urgent of all. She leaves in about 10 days.
Yeah, well, it's the same situation as Beanie. I can find her a bed for a few nights, but after that... It's also a matter of priorities. I could spend a month on her alone, and 20 or more other women would suffer.
Yes. What about the Dobings? They've helped us before.
Yes, but not anymore. Mr. Dobing's dead. His wife took it very badly. She just won't have anyone, least of all ex-prisoners.
And there's 4 floors up above. All the food is brought up in these trolleys, heated, of course, to keep the food warm.
Who is on diet?
Diet? Yeah, that's doctor's orders. And, of course, there are religious diets, too. Well, Georgie, you're not eating.
In a minute, Chief. Not very hungry.
I'll have to keep the eye on her. Well, Beanie, top of the queue, as usual.
Oh, too right. Want to make sure of getting it. Chucking me out soon, ain't you? Well, I shan't know where my next meal's coming from.
Avis, move along. Come on, Avis, you're holding everyone up. Move along.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Just move along.
You move along.
Stop that! Stop it at once! Do you hear me? Did she touch you?
No, Chief.
Lucky for you. Now pick up that tray. You, help her. Come on, clear up that mess.
I wasn't expecting anyone. Hardly any callers these days.
No, I was very sorry to hear about your husband.
Yeah. Oh, a blessed release in a way. Still, I miss him. So unexpected.
It must have been.
Oh, do take a seat, Mrs. Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thank you. I can really only stay a short time.
Oh, yes. Excuse the dressing gown. I wasn't going to get dressed today. Sometimes I don't, you know, from one day to the next. Hardly seems worthwhile.
Yes, I can understand that. I must admit that I had a special reason for coming here today.
Oh?
We are in desperate need for accommodation for ex-prisoners, Mrs. Dobing.
Oh, put them up here, you mean? Oh, no, I'm afraid not.
Well, you helped us in the past.
Yeah, well, that was my hubby, really. You see, he was more interested in that sort of thing. You know, helping others. But I couldn't go through all that again, especially now I'm on my own.
Yes, I know exactly how you feel, but I have an idea that I would like to suggest to you.
Oh?
If by any chance you change your mind and you do take one of our women, I'd like you to choose which one.
Well, how could I do that? I'm not saying I would mind.
I would make you a prison visitor. Now, that only means that you have to come to Stone Park once or twice a week, meet one of the women and talk to her.
I wouldn't know what to say.
Well, the object is to let her do the talking, someone that she can discuss her troubles with, so that she doesn't feel out of it.
Well, I'm not the type.
I think you are. Anyway, I'd pick someone that I thought would suit you.
Oh, no. No, you want someone more educated. I mean, I'm just ordinary. I don't think I could do it.
Very well, Mrs. Dobing, I don't want to press you.
Oh, no, and thanks for asking all the same.
And I tell you what, just in case you change your mind, let's leave it open, shall we? Life isn't easy for anyone in prison, Avis. Not for you, and certainly not for the officers and staff who try to do their best for you and get it thrown back at them.
What help?
Well, in your case, Miss Carter, whom you try to attack, and Miss Clark, whom you won't even talk to. If you won't cooperate with welfare, how can you expect to be helped?
Cooperate?
Would you do your best for someone who wouldn't even speak to you? Now, what's this all about? If you're just going to be offensive and obstructive, I can't make any further allowances for you. 3 days' loss of privileges.
Right.
Who's next?
Hannah Wise. Application to see the governor.
Next.
Hannah Wise, 93042.
Yes, what can I do for you, Hannah?
Well, madam, I was thinking how I was able to help you over Renate Schumacher.
Yes?
Well, of course, she doesn't want to see me anymore. Some people are never grateful. But it's given me an idea for a whole new career.
Yes? I'd like your permission to start learning Russian, madam. We'll have to see the education officer about that. And you have no objection, madam? None? Thank you, madam.
Right.
Now, what was that all about? She knows she doesn't have to make an application to see me for that?
Yeah, she knows that perfectly well. I think it's the old ploy. She wanted Schumacher to see her coming out of here. Hannah's got some hold over her, and she wanted to show her how easy it would be to come in and tell you all about it.
Yes, you could be right.
What could it be?
You know, I don't know that Hannah is such a bad influence on Renata. In fact, I think they should see more of each other. I've decided whether they like it or not that they'll go in the same cell.
You can't do that. You can't put me with her.
Did you say something, Miss Schumacher?
I studied English at school and university. How did you guess?
The way you reacted to what the other women said. Even someone with no knowledge of the language at all would have known that it was insulting.
Yes. Stupid of me.
But why all the pretense? Why make things so difficult for yourself and everyone else?
I did not wish anyone to start asking about my background, my life, or perhaps even contacting my family in Germany.
They don't know that you're in prison.
Oh, I even asked the man from the embassy not to tell them because it is shameful.
What happened? Would you like to tell us?
Yes, I would like to. You see, I come from a little town near Bremen, and I was quite a clever girl when I was at school, but we were poor. And it was a struggle for my parents to send me to university, but they did. And I worked very hard to make them proud of me. And just before I was graduated, my father became paralyzed. And of course, I had to go home to look after him because my mother, she has a weak heart, and I had to support them. And the only job that I could find was just a clerk.
You didn't finish your degree?
It was always to be next year. There was never any time.
Are your parents still alive?
Yes. My father, he's bedridden.
Why did you come to England?
I came here to find work. It was no life for me. I could not even look in the windows of the shops at the clothes, even the little things I could not buy. I didn't have more than maybe 1 day's holiday.
Must have been very difficult for you.
In the end, I had to get away. My parents, I told them a friend would look after them while I go to Munich, so they thought for 1 week. They did not know that I would never be back. And then I came here, and in that first week I went to the big store, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by all the things I've always wanted. Those dresses and the parfum and the jewelry.
Yes.
It was not stealing. It was more like sleepwalking. I did not know what had happened until the man stopped me at the door and I struggled.
You don't intend to tell your family?
Oh, it is much better that they never know. It is shameful. And that, for me, is the punishment.
And somehow Hannah Wise found out about all this.
Oh, a little I told her. The rest, I think, she guessed.
Well, I'm not going to take any action against the deception. But how you're going to explain it to the other women is another matter.
Oh, thank you, madam.
However, if you ever want to see me, I'm always available.
Thank you.
And me.
Thank you.
Back to the wing.
It was very kind of you.
My heck, what a life.
Governor. Yes. At the gate. Yes, of course I'll see her. Straight away.
It all comes from that visit you had last week from your sister, doesn't it?
None of your business.
It's because of what she told you, isn't it?
That's nothing to do with you. I said I don't need you.
That's no way to talk, girl. Not when we've just come from seeing your sister.
Both of you?
That's right.
Gilda wouldn't speak to her.
We had coffee in the little room behind the shop, all right?
Who do you think you are? You think you're the only girl in the world whose boyfriend couldn't wait for her?
At least she told you, Avis.
Anybody but her. Why'd it have to be her? She was closer to me than anyone. And now I've lost both of them. There's nothing I can do. Those old women are getting out, and I've got to stay locked in here.
Gilda was very upset when she heard how badly you'd taken it. She's willing to break with him for your sake.
I don't want her leavings.
I don't think you know what you do want.
To get out of here. You see, it's all his fault I'm inside. Just do me one little favor. Take this package to a friend.
And that's the man you're crying for? Who got you into trouble and then 2 times you? You'd better pray your sister gets wise and show him the door for both of you.
Mrs. Weeks, this is your new visitor, Mrs. Dobie. How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Well, I'd better leave you two together.
Well, won't you sit down? I'm going to.
Oh. It's nice.
What's nice about it? All you can say for it, it's clean.
Oh, all right then. It's clean.
Well, I'm sure it's a very interesting job.
Well, it's something
I can hardly believe it. Oh, I'll have a try, she said. Does Mrs. Weeks know why she's there?
Oh, no, I think that would be fatal.
Oh, one bit of rather bad news. Oh. I managed to get round to Beanie Dixon's nephew's flat. It was empty and to let. The neighbours say he and his family moved out a month ago.
All right, break it up, you two. Charles is waiting to pour you a drink, Liz.
Right.
It's getting on. Where the hell's Paul?
Yes, I wish I knew. Look, darling, she's all by herself. Do go and talk to her.
Well, I've been with her for the last 20 minutes.
I'm glad you didn't bother to change for it, Liz.
Darling, there are lots of other things.
No comments?
It's a nice dress. Well, we brewed a pretty mean punch, or would you rather try something else?
Peter, do me a favour. This is the first time that Marion's here. Go look after her. Now, you going to give me some of those?
There you are. Yes, what would you like?
Well...
Do you come here often?
Only in the mating season.
Well.
I'm sorry I just said that.
No, don't mind me.
No, I'm no use at this kind of thing, you see. I'm no good at parties. I either say something flip or stand tongue-tied.
Well, you're doing all right. And without a drink, too, I see.
That's another thing. I don't drink.
You're a bit of a mess.
Yes.
Oh, I should have said a nice mess. Pretty. Attractive.
It's no use. I'm no good at small talk.
Well, that's fine, because neither am I. All my talk is vast, rotund, grandiloquent. And I shall expect you to applaud whenever I pause for breath.
Liz, no hard feelings about the other day?
Oh, no, of course not. You're absolutely right.
Don't you ever take your wife to parties, Charles?
If she came to this one, she'd have to bring a barrow.
When is the baby due?
Oh, any day now.
But what do you want this time, boy or girl?
Yeah.
Ask a silly question.
Excuse me, I must go and ask Peter. You know, I was thinking how different people look away from Stone Park.
Oh, I don't like the ways.
Yeah, how's your new car coming along?
Oh, sorry, Becca.
I just wondered how your new car was coming along.
Oh, it's all right. Of course it's all right. She won't mind at all.
Hello, darling.
You've met her, haven't you?
Hello, Mrs. Basil.
Yes, of course. How nice to see you again. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Paul, my son, and Mrs. Armitage's daughter, Ellen.
How nice to meet you. I'm a friend of your father's.
Oh, yes, that's right. He's off. Oh, dear, I feel awful turning up like this.
Not at all. Paul, why didn't you tell us that she was coming?
We've only just met at a joint lecture.
Well, now, come along in. Let's dump your books.
What would you like to drink? This is a very good punch.
Oh, lovely. Good.
Here you are.
Thank you.
We met at your guided tour.
Yes.
What was the lecture about, then?
The abuse of discipline in the prison service.
The abuse of discipline?
It's a fairly tongue-in-cheek title, but it made some very valid points.
Chiefly that it's often used as a substitute for any real communication between staff and inmates.
Oh, is that a fact?
Well, yes. One that's hardly ever recognised. I believe that every prison should change its concept of security.
What to?
Oh, to one of mutual respect. Well, I know Miss Clark agrees.
Does she now?
Ah, look. The basic need for strict security
It's a sign of inadequacy in the system.
Exactly.
No. Whatever
I
lectures
think
you
I'd
have, you
better
must
break
be...
it up.
Bill, I want to see how Charles gets out of this one.
Madam, I'm sorry. I'd no idea that she was going to turn up at your house last night like that.
Well, I'm very glad she did.
I certainly didn't encourage her.
You're an old snob, Mrs. Armitage. I'm very happy that Paul's friendly with someone as intelligent and sensible as your daughter. She made the party.
She argued with Mr. Radley.
Oh, well, we all ended up arguing with Mr. Radley. That was part of the fun. Oh, hello, Mrs.
Good morning. It's not too soon for me to visit again, is it?
No, of course not.
And I forgot to ask Mrs. Weeks if she prefers green curtains or pink. I do hope it's pink.
Well, you certainly seem to be making a hit.
Yes, I hope so. Of course, she hasn't been told anything. I want Mrs. Dobing to get to know her exactly as she is.
In here's the only place I feel safe or wanted.
Oh, don't say that, Mrs. Weeks.
It's a fact, Mrs. Dobin. What's there for me outside? 2 or 3 nights in an hostel, maybe? Sleeping with one eye open to make sure your shoes don't get pinched? Washing up till your hands get so tired you start dropping things?
Well, what will you live on?
Good question, that. Nothing sometimes, so you can't pay for a bed. And all the time fighting the urge to take a drink till you can't fight no longer. Then it's all up.
How do you mean?
Well, you don't eat. You don't even keep yourself clean. You spend all your time trying to beg or borrow enough to buy some cheap cider or rot gut. Don't make you happy. Only sick and quarrelsome. Seen me in here. You've no idea what it can be like.
Well, maybe it needn't be like that.
It always has been. Except for the few months I lived with my sister. I was needed then. Rest of the time a dirty old drunk. Not fit to live with. It's not easy, Mrs. Dobin.
No, it's not.
You claim you have urgent information?
Yes, madam, I have. Renate Schumacher claims to have been at the University of Hamburg. Well, I know Hamburg, and I can assure you, if she was ever there, she was not at the university.
You said you had urgent information.
It proves she's a total fraud. She's hiding something.
What it proves to me is that you're trying to pay her back because she wouldn't submit to blackmail. Now, if that's all you have to say, I can't waste any more time.
Take her away. Something I can't stand.
It's never very pretty.
Anybody who's talked to Renate Schumacher knows she's straight. There's nothing in her file. She shouldn't even be here.
You've talked to her?
Yeah, several times. I'm impressed by her.
Why?
Well, anybody who's heard her story has to feel sympathy for her.
I don't.
Why not?
It was a good story, well told. I don't believe a word of it. Come in. Oh, Mrs. Dobing, do come in. Sit down.
Thank you.
Have you been to see Mrs. Weeks?
Yes.
Well, is everything working out?
Yes. Oh, she's nice enough. Very honest about herself. But she says she's an alcoholic. Or nearly. When she has a couple of drinks, she gets violent, breaks things, doesn't know what she's doing.
I'm sorry, we shouldn't have asked you.
Oh, no, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I want to do what's right. I'm willing to have another try.
You'll take her?
Yes, she
Mrs.
can come.
Dobing.
Oh, no, I don't want any thanks. I'm only trying to do what's right. She can come and stay, but she mustn't give me any thanks. I'd be too embarrassed.
She's asked for me?
If you'd like to go.
If I'd like to. Oh, I can't believe it. I promise I won't let you down this time, ma'am.
It's not me, Mrs. Weeks. It's you, Mrs. Durbing trusts.
Hey, Ted! You'll never guess what's happened.
Hello, Molly.
Oh, Mother, this is Paul Boswell.
We've already met.
Yes, yes, we have.
Well, I'd better be going.
Oh, must you?
Please don't let me drive you away.
Oh, you're not. I was just leaving, and anyway, I'm expected back at home.
I'll see you out.
Night-night, then.
Give my regards to your mum and dad.
Yes, I will. Bye-bye.
I'm sorry you've got to go.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, don't be so old-fashioned, love.
I didn't have to chase him out,
I
Mother.
didn't chase him out. Anyway, what's going on?
Nothing. We like each other, that's all.
Perfectly possible, Molly, even in these days.
I like him and I've learned a lot from him.
Oh, yes?
He's shown me that my attitude to the prison service all comes from reading about men's prisons. Women's prisons are completely different. Totally different atmosphere.
That is something.
Yes, there's something else too, love. Wait for it.
Oh, yes, I've decided not to stay in welfare.
Oh, now, look, Ellen, you can't go chopping and changing.
Why not? It's my career. I have to know I've chosen the right thing. Anyway, I'm going back to nursing.
You what?
Well, psychiatric nursing. Seems obvious that neither welfare nor the uniformed staff have the answers. And from what I've seen, I think the most valuable work in the future will be done by the psychotherapists.
Goodbye, Georgie. Good luck. Thanks, Avis. Bye, Beanie.
You'll be back. First chance you get, you'll have a gargle. Oi, have one on me.
All right. Yes, bye. Bye.
Well, they gave her a grand send-off. Usually the women just slide out with hardly a nod from anyone.
Yes.
There's too many emotions mixed up in seeing someone else get out. You know, I think Renata Schumacher's the only one who genuinely doesn't envy her. You've got to be wrong there, Faye. She's accepted her punishment, wants to serve her time quietly.
Governor. Yes, send him up straight away, will you? Well, we may have an answer soon. We have a visitor from Special Branch.
Oh, it's lovely. Even nicer than the little place I had with me sister.
Well, now, your room's upstairs, but if we're to be friends, you're not to spend all your time up there. You'll have the run of the house.
Do you mean it?
Well, be company for me. You can eat in the kitchen with me.
Oh.
Now, how about a little something to celebrate? A glass of sherry?
Oh, well, do you know, I really think I'd rather have a cup of tea.
Me too. Come on, we'll put the kettle on.
Good of you to get in touch, Mrs. Boswell. We were looking into it, but your call was a help.
Now, is there anything you can tell us?
Oh, quite a lot. There is a Renata Schumacher who lives in Kramerstrasse, Delmenhorst. That's a little town near Bremen. But she's 76, and she hasn't been away from home for 30 years.
So, who do we have?
And the German police were very interested in her fingerprints. You've heard of the Steiner-Lintz group.
Terrorists?
They split up and went into hiding earlier this year. These fingerprints belong to Helga Steiner, one of the leaders.
No wonder she posed as a simple tourist.
And what better place to hide than in prison? In a foreign country, on a minor charge. She'd just disappear.
So what now?
Well, we traced her movements and found caches of arms and explosives. And a plan for other members of the group, if her cover was blown here, to blast their way into Stone Park to free her. Our orders are to get her into a maximum security prison, without delay.
I'll be sent to another prison when?
Straight away.
Mr. Radley said I might go to an open prison. I would like that.
No doubt you would, but you're going somewhere quite different, Helga. I knew you'd be too intelligent to deny it.
I want to stay here. I must stay here.
You are leaving now, under maximum security.
They will send me back to Germany?
Probably.
That won't stop us. I'm only one of many.
Unfortunately.
When we come to power, you and all creatures like you will be swept off this earth.
If you ever come to power, the only people whose jobs will be safe will be prison governors.